Great. All right, Jan, whenever you're ready, share your screen.
Okay, I share my screen in one moment. And okay, here it is. This one. Okay, I think let's start with the filter. I think that's the easier one for you. What I want to do is I built in my home screen now some visuals, and these visuals are only for my pro users, so that pro users can add an extra image to their account. And so I want to filter these grid lists here based on if there is an image set, and on the other thing, on the ID that they are pro users. And this ID is in another data collection. And so I was not sure how to filter this on that way.
Yeah, so I think the easiest way to do that would be to use that, I think it's called like a transform JSON or JSON transform action. You won't be able to do it directly here, so you'd have to create your own actions.
I thought it is here, yeah, but if there is another option.
Okay. Yeah, you can't do it through here because this will just, because essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to filter an array by another array. And we actually have an action, I think it's called transform JSON filter array by array. I think it's what it's called. So you'd have to change this entire setup where the data being set into that grid is no longer coming from this data tab. So we actually would remove it from there. Yeah.
And then flow.
Yeah, let's create a new flow. And then once we get that set up, then we can remove the binding and then nests flow into the page binding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then in the add action, type in that search, just type the word transform. I think that should filter it down. So it is that first one, filter by array. So that's what we want here. Okay. And the starting array, data collection is correct. So we're just going to go get the data, the original data.
Okay. Get the guest.
And then this one's essentially replicating what you had in the data map. I think you're getting all the fields.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if you had a sort or if you had any pre-filters that we can add here. I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, we can make a search from modified, last modified.
Sure.
And that's the newest one, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And did you need like any default filters for that initial list? Like, do you have like a deleted or anything like that that you always want to exclude?
Yeah, it's the filter that if the image is set.
Let's see. And how's the value set in that image?
It's an text, a single line with the URL inside.
Can you show me? Show me in the data, and then let me look at the value.
And then here's the promo banner.
So is the goal to show things that have a value or to show things that don't have a value?
Only they have a value.
Only if they have a value. I'm trying to think how we could do that. I think for that we would have to do like a custom JavaScript thing, right, Drew? Because we don't have like a built-in null.
Oh, to make it be null in the response. Yeah, I usually change that in the JSON, and sometimes it's finicky. But that's how I would do. I'll just go right directly in the JSON, just type null. I don't know. I think I wasn't looking at that second, so I don't know if it's exactly.
Yeah, so like one thing you can do. So Jan, right now the issue is that in this filter, there's no method right now to say, you know, exclude anything that has a null value, actually empty. So one thing you can do to get around that is when you create those records, you can like actually create it with a value of null. That way in here, you put a not filter of the value null, and then that would accomplish. And then for your existing data, you would have to manually go into the data and just type null in there, just to handle that. Or the alternative would be to write a custom JavaScript function to exclude those.
Okay.
So it just
Yeah,
depends. You can do it the no code way or the Java or the coder way.
I think I take the no code way. So it's 0.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, that can be your default value.
Yeah.
So then in your data, you would just set that on all your existing data. And then anytime you create a new guess record,
Yeah. I have to
default
set
that value of 0 in there.
Okay. Do some protesting. Okay, which one?
Yeah, but it's definitely a feature I want. So I'd love to just in those filter menus have an option where I can, like, where you can enter a static value or select from a variable or from an element, but have the option to say null.
Okay.
Or even for date specific things, I want things like where I can say now, you know. So there are things we're thinking through, and eventually there'll be features that will be built in. Okay, so that will handle that. So scroll down. Let's look at the next property. So right here, the starting array property. Basically, we need to select the same guest data collection, and then we're going to select the column that we are going to filter against. So where do you store the ID of the other collection that you're trying to filter by?
Okay, that's the user ID.
Okay. Okay, and then the filter array, this is where you will now select the users.
And that's the users, yeah.
And then we can probably just get all the fields. And then do we need to filter this one, or how do you know which users?
And yes, we need filter is on the tariff ID.
Cool.
And so here it's not 0 as well.
Gotcha. Okay, so you'll go put a default on
0
those
is
and create them.
All the other pro users.
Okay, perfect. And then if we keep scrolling down, now we're going to select the property, basically the field from the users collection that we're using to filter the original list. So in here, we're going to select users again, and then we're going to select, but I think that's what the tariff ID was, right?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, then we'll select tariff here, and then we'll remove it from the filter up above. Because for the users list, you're trying to get the list of all the users, right?
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay, then yeah. So remove that. And then
yeah, sure.
keep only matches is correct. We'll ignore if it's empty, that's good. And then here, instead of a variable, toggle that to an element.
Okay.
And then we will select that grid where we're setting the data into.
Yeah, this grid list.
Yeah, that one, exactly. Cool. And then the only thing we need to do now is we just need to nest this flow into your existing page binding. That way it actually runs that. Oh, and we need to remove the binding from the element.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so go ahead and nest it.
So how many actions is possible in here? I also have 7. Oh, I have 7. Can I?
Yeah, you can have way more than 7.
Yeah, there's no limit there.
Christmas program, this one.
Yeah, I think it was that one. Cool. And then now let's go here in the data, and then for that grid. Yeah, and then we need to remove it if that's, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go try
Okay.
it.
Here, refresh. Okay. Only one. That's something is work, but it's not the one with the image.
Yeah, can we look at the data and let's see which ones actually have a value in that field? So it'd be in the guests, yeah.
No, actually, there are more than without the zero. Yes, one with
So it'd find one and then show me the tariff ID or
Okay.
or the user ID is what's tied in here. Show me the user ID column.
Here's this ID.
So it looks like they all have the same ID. So
Yeah,
I think
right.
so I think that worked correctly, right?
Uzmi sve ću tamo, tako da mi ne grebe ovde.
Because we're finding
Uzmi ga,
just
molim te.
the one ID. It's finding the one user.
Okay, but there are many without this no. So shouldn't be there more than.
Well, what we set up was we told it to filter the list for any matching user IDs.
Yes.
But all these records have the same user ID, so it's only ever going to find one.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
so I don't know, maybe we need to change the setup, or the user ID value that's being set is not correct. Should they all have the same user ID?
It could be, yeah. So at the moment it's just because I'm testing, but if later it could be that there's the same user ID for more profiles, I think.
Gotcha. Okay. Then yeah, then it's all working. Like
Okay.
based on the data, it's doing what we told it to do.
Okay.
So what does Jan need to do, just as a recap, Dorian, if he wants it to work this way, he needs to create a new field that's unique per user?
No, it's already all set up.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, the reason it's only showing the one is because all the records have the same user ID, and only one of those records actually has a value in
Okay.
the image column. Because what we're filtering is we're first getting the list of all the guests and excluding anything that's zero.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we're matching it against all the users and saying only keep the guests that match the value in the users table in the column called tariff ID against the user ID of the guests records.
Okay.
So one thing we can look at is let's go look at the users and see what values you have in the tariff ID. Not in here, but the users.
Sorry, it's a guest.
you've been testing a lot, Jan.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of guests.
Yes.
And show me that tariff ID column.
Here. 0 and 1.
Yeah, so that's not what we need to, so that I was thinking that I was storing the user ID. So I think we just need to filter it against the ID. And you only want the ones that have tariff 0.
So in the flow again.
Yeah, go to the flow.
This one.
And then scroll down and go to here. So that column should be the ID instead of tariff.
Okay, yeah, this one.
Mhm. And then for the users, what's the tariff ID? I see you have 1 and 0. What are the ones you want to find?
One is as a 0 is the basic user. They are so they are not should not be shown.
And
Or the user without the 0 should.
so you want the users that have tariff 0 or not 0?
Not
Not-
0.
Not
I think
0?
that was the original filter he had on users.
Yeah, okay, then we
What
do
is it?
need that then.
Yeah.
So add filter here, got it.
Okay, and not.
Yeah, and then tariff ID, and then that'd be, or tariff, I guess it's just called, and then 0. Okay, now let's refresh and let's see what our data looks like.
Yeah, I think that's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot, but I think that because yeah, we have not every in every record the null inside. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I can work with it now.
Yeah, just clean up the data
Mhm.
and see if that, but I think this gets it now. Okay, cool.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, the second thing is actually from last week, and I yeah wrote with Drew already the last days because of my import of the image from the image legacy URL to the with the image uploader to Builder. That's the case. And yeah, I have it here. And yeah, I have the image uploader and set the image legacy URL to this field. And yeah, Drew, you wrote that I should try making a timer in between because I should first wait. I tried this, it didn't work. Then I tried a timer with 10 seconds. I tried with 30 seconds so that the upload can work, but it didn't. And I
Okay.
tried to on change event as well. And there's also the Webflow URL copied in my yeah field, so I can load it here. I have the image legacy
And that's the
URL.
correct image, right? It just loaded the correct image.
Yeah, exactly. So that's right. Only the URL is still not the builder URL. What else can I try?
Yeah, so Dorian, basically like he's pulling in these records and then uploading an image uploader element with a Webflow URL. So that's what you see. You can see it worked. It like uploaded the blob, but then he calls a update record, like a save, to save that image uploader image into the data collection, and it's not saving. So that's why originally I told him to test out with a timer to see if maybe like it was like going too fast and the image didn't have enough time to upload, but it seems like that's not the issue.
Yeah, I think it's
So I'm not sure.
because
It's probably because it's Webflow, right?
no. I think it's because we're using a set value, or how's the value being set into that
Yeah,
element?
it's a set value, but also I updated his image uploader element to handle the set value correctly, which isn't in our default one.
But what's triggering the save to the blob?
I don't know exactly, but it was in a timer a second ago. So whatever flow is in that timer, that's what's triggering it. Do you know what that one is?
I think that's just a save record, right? He's just updating the record with the value that's in the element. But if we're setting the Webflow value in there, it's just going to be the same value, right? Because we're just doing a set and a get.
Oh, like it's just going to use the Webflow URL.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. The code that I put in, I thought changed it. It might not. I thought it changed it so that when you do that with an external URL, it actually like uploads it as a blob to like Builder.
And is
But
that
maybe
then
it's not happening.
resetting? Yeah,
Huh?
we need to, can we test that? Can you show us in the preview and then open the network? Because we
yeah.
could see a request for document/upload when that happens.
Okay.
And that will confirm if it is going to the blob.
Perfect. So yeah, open the inspector before you upload it.
Yeah, that
Oh,
we
yeah.
can.
First, I import a new guest.
Gotcha.
Yeah, now I have a guest. And this one. Network.
Yeah. And then you can toggle the. I
Import the
guess,
guest.
yeah, if you don't want it in mobile view, there's that
Nice.
little link at the top there.
Okay. Now we imported the guest
And
CSV.
yeah, and then where do you display the rows here?
And
Yeah,
I
you
don't see
see
any
that, Drew?
upload.
It's not triggering the upload, so that's why. So the because
wait,
that's
at
not
the moment
happening.
it's the 10 seconds stop timer.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha. Well, no,
Oh.
because that's already too late. All the save is doing there is just grabbing the relative address and storing it to a field.
Okay.
But the upload should have happened automatically.
So there's a new action for uploading specifically, right? Like in like the last week, I think Mark did a couple
Yeah, I
of new
think Mark,
actions.
because
So maybe that's actually what we need.
Yeah, I think he might leverage that one. Let me see what that was. It's in the release notes. Empty container.
I think it's where you just.
Yeah, that's what we need. So it's called image uploader dash save image, because that's what's happening, because the set value is not triggering. There's no interaction, like the normal flow does. So right before the update record here, add a new, and you can get rid of the timer. I don't think the timer is needed.
Yeah, you probably, that was just to
because
make
that
sure.
wasn't the issue, but search for image uploader, and there should be one called save image. That one, yeah, that's what we need. And then move that above the, yeah, and then put a weight between those. And then, yeah, select the element, which is the image uploader.
Yeah.
Down, yeah. And then show me the update record. I just want to confirm that that's gonna work.
You take this one and this one.
Yeah, and then go in there and let me look at the update record. Let's guess we're targeting the ID, where the ID it's the current record, and then that's the field we're saving that value to. Okay, yeah, that looks good. Okay, so let's refresh. Let's try this again, and then let's keep the network open. And you can turn off the mobile, like where your cursor is right above it. There's that little devices icon. Yeah, just click that. There you
go. So I import the guest again.
Yeah. And then let's see. Nothing happened.
No. I need this quit again.
That's interesting.
It might stem from setting the image uploader element with like not from the files on your computer, because that's the code that I updated in there. I had to do this for a different project where it's just like a totally different thing. And you're essentially like, I set it up so you can do drag and drop on the image uploader element. And that's what lets you set an external URL. So I wonder if there's just a problem in there, because that's like a complicated thing to put an external URL into an upload.
Yeah, it's like
it
it's
doesn't
not-
trigger the same things as when you get it from your computer.
Can we try this? Go back to the studio and remove it from the page load. Like go to
Page-
the, or
page
go to
load,
the
page bind-
page, in the page binding.
page.
Yeah, and remove that flow. Yeah.
Okay.
And then add that flow into the grid, maybe when we click on the legacy label or on something. I just want to see if it happens like on an interaction. Or yeah, use the button. Yeah.
Update record.
Yeah. And then let's go try it again. Refresh. Let's re-upload it and let's try it again.
Yes.
And if this doesn't work, then I think Drew will probably just need to go debug this
Yeah.
outside of office hours to see. Yeah, because it never happens. It never does the upload. And it
Mm,
might be because it's coming from a URL, you know?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll probably just have to look into it, because it seems like it's probably something it's with our image uploader that's not handling it, but it's gonna be deep. We won't be able to find it right now.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay,
the setup
so
looks good. So once we can figure that out and update that function,
Yeah,
it
then
should
this should
work.
just all work. Yeah.
okay, Drew, what do you need from Jan in order to be able to check this out for him?
Access to the project, but I already have it. Unless you remove me, I should still have it, I think.
Yeah, you have.
Cool. Yeah, so I'll just take a look at it.
Okay, great, awesome. Thanks for doing that, Drew. Jan, was there anything else? No?
No.
Okay, so we're good on
That's
the
all.
first
So-
one. Drew's gonna help
Yep.
you check out this one and see if we can make it work for you. What Jan is doing is really cool. Like I mentioned, he's got a lot of data in Webflow and he's created this page that runs this multi-step import that he's doing to bring everything in and merge it together. It's super cool.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Jan. So let's call up Anne next. Anne is having some issues with one of her domains, and it may be builder related, it may be with her domain registrar. So Anne, just take us through what you're doing, and we'll see if we can help.
Okay, thank you so much, and thanks in advance for your patience because I'm super new to this. But first question is, what is the difference between publishing from development to test and development to implementation?
Those like basically tests and production and development and any other that you make, because you can make more, we call them like environments or deployments or deployment environments. And basically that's just like a version of your app that you can publish out and have it be set in stone. So like a normal workflow, and when you're working in the studio, you're in the development deployment always. So a normal workflow would be you're working in the studio, you're building in the development deployment, and when you preview, you're looking at the development deployment. You can publish to test, and then you can keep working in development, but it's not going to change tests. So you can have people testing it in there. And then when you're ready, you can publish to production, and that's what your users would use, something like that. But it's completely like open-ended. You don't, you can use it however you want, kind of thing. But they're just different versions of your app that you can kind of like snapshot in time, so that as you get more advanced with testing, or if you have clients or if you have users, you can just have some flexibility there to work without breaking what people are seeing, basically.
Oh, okay. So let me clarify. So if I have this website published to test right now, and then I make changes in the studio, it's not going to reflect unless I publish it yet.
Exactly.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Well, yeah, just testing it out. And one of the links, it doesn't work. So if I open this project, it says site cannot be reached. But if I open this one here, it leads me to, it works fine. So I'm not sure. I think it must be something that I didn't do right in my DNS records. So I wonder if you can take a look for me.
Yeah, the one that doesn't work is the base domain.
the non-www.
Yes.
So that one will just drive off of the A record. Let's
Oh,
see.
actually, you can see there's an extra A record that's parked. Do you think that has
Oh,
to
that's
do
why
it?
you need to
So-
remove that. You can
Oh,
only have
okay.
one A record.
Okay.
And then let's try it. Sometimes it might take like 15 minutes.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's instant.
So do I have to publish again, or
No,
this is work just
no,
by clicking?
Because that's just DNS settings. Yeah, and you might have to,
to
sometimes it
wait.
takes like 15 minutes to propagate.
Okay.
But here, I can check in DNS lookup. Let's see.
Do you need her to chat the URL, Dorian?
No, I got it already.
Okay.
Go with 2Ls.app.
And if needed to, we can move on and then hop back in and check if we need.
Okay.
Yeah,
But Dorian's gonna check right now, kind of on the
Alright.
back end to see if he can see something.
And to be clear, that's like your app is published. So it's like it's all set. You don't have to change anything. This is just like a pointer. So it's like your DNS is just like telling that URL like where to point to.
Mhm.
So once this works, you won't have to publish or anything for that reason.
I see.
Do you have any, while Dorian checks on that, Anne, do you have any other questions on kind of the publish process or anything like that? We do have to make that a lot simpler and cleaner. So that's going to be one of our UI
I see.
redesigns.
I
Yeah.
think what Drew explained now is very clear. Yeah, thank you.
Some people like, Drew, I think for his personal projects, he never does staging, right? You don't ever
Yeah, I just
publish
go to
and
production
test
whenever I feel
everything
like
and
it.
then do production. So if it's a project that only you're working on and you know what changes you've made, then you can just go straight to production if you want. Otherwise, you just can kind of decide what works best for whatever app you're building.
I see. Thank you.
And I just took a look, DNS already updated, and I just try to go to it, and it is directing to it, but it's throwing an SSL error. And I just looked at that domain in Builder, and I see that it doesn't have an SSL set up for that one. So to do that in the studio, if you go
Yes.
to deployments,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then
Feel free to share
open-
your screen
Yeah,
again,
I think
Anne, if
I'm
we
gonna
can
share
do
my
it
screen
together.
again. Yes.
Yeah, so close this and then go on the left side, go back into deployments, the one with the cloud with the arrow pointing up.
Wow.
in the bottom.
Oh,
That one there. And then open the one for test. And then in here, if we scroll down, notice right here, it's already prompting you. You just have to enter that information and then submit it. And then that will generate the free SSL.
So yeah, I just do that and then do website. Yeah, perfect.
Hawaii.
went wrong.
Ah, it's throwing an error or something. Let me see. I can double check the settings.
I'm jealous too of Hawaii. And what's the weather there right now? Does
It's
it get
actually-
cold?
Yeah, it is actually pretty cold nowadays, but it gets hot in the day and then cold at night, so it's a little
Yeah,
bipolar.
Texas weather is a little bit like that sometimes too. Oh, wow. Spaceman says he's getting -20 tomorrow in Ohio.
Wow.
I heard sub-zero wind chills here in Texas, which is unheard of.
It's gonna get pretty cold. See anything, Dorian?
Not yet. I'm still searching. Might be a little bit.
All right. I think after Anne's questions, let's see. Alex. We can call you up and help you walk through your stuff. And then Alexander is working on building a control and management application and would love some guidance on kind of how to approach that. Drew, Dorian, I chatted those details in the agenda, and then maybe we can show and talk a little bit about custom elements. We had a couple people asking about that in the Discord. So I'm not sure if Drew, if we have one that we can create, or we can just show how to duplicate and just walk through like how to create the input arguments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Does that sound okay? Okay, so it is 10:40 right now. We've got 20 minutes left, but we've got quite a bit to do. So maybe we can stay a little bit longer today so we can cover some more stuff. Are we good on time, Dorian and Drew? Can we hang out a
I'm
little
good,
bit
yeah.
longer?
Yeah.
I know we have other stuff we've got to get to, but that'll be great that we can cover. So if anyone needs to drop off and come back on, do it. Or if you have something time sensitive, chat, and maybe we can get to your stuff first. And also you can just chat questions in the chat, like Kraka just did. Dorian, should we maybe just delete it and have her republish anew?
We'll try that. I'm just checking Redis right now just to see.
Okay.
So it'll just be a few minutes, but we can continue while I do that. So it'll take a bit anyways.
Okay, sounds good. And we'll come back. Alex Karpinski, are you ready to go?
You bet. Let me pull things up here.
Everyone look at Karsh's avatar. That is cool.
Thanks. There's no excuse for my childish behavior.
Forever young.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, what you working on?
For sure. So I've been kind of chewing around this issue I've been having for a while, and I was working on it last night. So I'm kind of at the next step to where I can keep moving. And then I tried it this morning and I had another issue. So I hope it works, that we can keep working on it. But basically, I've got this big report. I've been working on it forever. Add team members, and then, oh, it happened again. Basically, add a vehicle here. I think I need to set a variable to fix this. I don't know why this is happening sometimes.
Yeah, it's weird sometimes.
Yeah, honestly, I was like working on this last night and it was fine, and then just this morning it didn't. So this should say like what vehicle is there, continue, and then be able to, yeah, it's not showing up there now. Okay. So basically I'm trying to set different crew members to a vehicle. And the problem I was having before is that I wasn't actually saving the crew members anywhere. So what I was working on last night, which I actually don't really understand how it works, but I copied something that I think Drew helped me build out before. So it actually works. On continue, this is like that saving the records. There's a save action that's running on this page. And I'm setting a temporary variable. If I can open it up here. So I'm setting this temporary variable which is like the crew. And then I'm saving that into a new database, which is a relational database for the incident report and the crew. So it's not like the pure incident report database. And I'm saving the report ID, which I'm getting there, as well as the firefighter ID. And that actually works. So I can look in the database and they're recording. So I was hoping I could go to the next step, which is here, and then basically you click, well, I can't do it because they're not there. Click the vehicles, it opens up, and then you set like what crew is at what truck. So I think firstly, I probably need to set a variable on the page load to fix that caching thing.
For the object.
Yeah,
Oh.
would that make,
Well, there's lots of reasons it could happen, so it depends why it's happening. I don't really know why it's happening yet.
oh,
Why
okay.
don't we look at
Sometimes
that
it's-
first? Do
sometimes
y'all want
it's-
to look at that first and then?
One thing to look at is just making sure the select menu is the values are tied and display values are tied to the collection that you're loading it into. That happens to me sometimes.
So like these guys here.
Yeah, making sure the properties are. Yeah, so if you click that, you're from the data collection that you're trying to pull the values from.
Yeah.
And that should be tied to it. And then under properties, where like the arguments typically lie on, I guess that's more on actions. You need to have it mapped to the display value and to the value.
Yeah.
So. Can you click on properties? Yes, that's right.
Like honestly, I went to bed last night, it was working. I woke up this morning and it wasn't, so I don't know.
And the
Uh,
vehicles list didn't change since then, like you know, if you
No.
add a vehicle with like a single quote in the name or something, that could potentially break it, but it didn't happen, it sounds like.
I think what it is cache. Like you probably set a value from the vehicles in the previous page. You can probably solve it by just caching all the vehicles.
That's what you were just talking about, I think. So you were on the right,
Yeah.
you were correct when you said that.
Okay.
Just on page load, cache all the vehicles.
Yeah.
like
Yeah, set
that
a
cache
value.
action.
There is a cache action, I think, for pages or something, but yeah, it's just for pages. That's not what you want.
No.
Sorry. What you actually need to or can do is just set a variable. So you can actually cache in other ways too, but if you set a variable, and I usually call the variable name like cache vehicles or pre-cache vehicles.
Yeah, and I would
And then
actually
that'll
do
do it.
that on your main app page because we don't know where it's happening. It could be happening before it even gets here.
Yeah, like if you do it on the as root level as possible, then Builder will just use that cache the whole rest of the time. So it's like it's not going to mess anything else up or
Yeah,
it's actually
no,
helpful.
your app will be faster because then it's all cached.
Which PS, I am gonna be pushing for some sort of caching tutorial or something where we explain how to optimize building of your app. So we're gonna figure, I mean, you can do that in a million different ways, so it should be fun, whoever's gonna be tasked with creating that.
And I'm looking at the domain, everything looks correct. I don't see the SSL certificate generated yet. So there's nothing to delete to let it regenerate. I think I will need you to add me to your project. That way I can try that on my end and I can see what error is being returned there.
Sure.
And then we
Can you-
can, yeah, and then I can get back to you once I can figure out what's happening there.
Awesome. Can you send me your email perhaps?
Yeah, it's Dorian@builder.com.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And I'll just send you a little chat right now on
Okay.
what we'll need. Dorian gets invited to a lot of projects, so probably giving me the project ID so he can
Oh.
quickly go to it after you invite him would be great. So I'll just send you a little chat with his info right now.
Okay, thank you.
So with this variable, I'd set that on the current page.
Yep.
If I'm doing it on,
Yeah, because
But
that's
this
already
variable
been-
doesn't actually matter where you set it technically, because all you're doing is you're allowing Builder to go to the network and get the data, and then Builder just has it, and then it
Has
knows
it.
it has it everywhere. So.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can call it anything here. Like that's where I usually call it cache vehicles or cache whatever. Yeah.
oh yeah, vehicles makes sense.
Yeah, because you might have to do this for multiple collections.
Multiple, yeah.
Mhm. And then yeah, you just go from data collection on that one, and just the best way usually is just to get them all, but sometimes you might only want to cache a subset and filter it or whatever. But in your case, I think you probably just want to get all vehicles.
Yeah, something just like that.
Yeah, I think that should be good.
Yeah. So now if we
Okay.
refresh the preview and try it, I believe that should solve it.
Did I put that?
Oh, is it not in
did I
the
put it on
page?
load?
Oh, okay, good call.
What did I call that?
Pre-cache pages, maybe there's 2 of them in there. I see. So we might have done this before.
That one's empty.
Yeah.
Unreal. Oh my God.
That's literally pages, so it's not that one. What is happening there? So it's not that.
Set.
Maybe it wasn't either of those. Maybe you just put it right on page loader or something where it goes, like where it would work. Hmm.
Unless it was that.
Maybe it just didn't save, because I thought it was called pre-cache pages. I thought I saw that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is it.
There it
It
goes.
just didn't save.
Just didn't save the data. Weird.
I think that's the little lockup we were seeing there. So you'll need to go set the value.
Get all. Yeah. And I'll put that on the page load.
Yeah.
I think it might not be in that list. Yeah, if you
It's like
like,
it's
click
not
off and click
saving,
back
right?
on.
Or what- Like it didn't save.
Hopefully just the list didn't update.
Where is it though?
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't say it. Yeah, that's weird.
But like the flow's not there. Click on that one.
This
Like that's the original one.
Where's the one you just added? Did you change the name or did it disappear?
I think originally he had right clicked and deleted it. And it's like your network was behind.
let me read.
And it finally deleted it. So you need to recreate it.
Let me refresh. Okay. Okay, why don't I can do that? Why don't we move on to someone else and I'll sing out once I've got that set up.
Cool.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Thank you, Alex. Okay, so let's see. I think we had some questions we could probably go through. Oh darn, Spaceman dropped off. Okay, so let me see here. Cracker asked a question, Drew, if you're down for answering that. He wants to know, he's wanting to use Wallet Connect and wants to know the best way to add the Wallet Connect model. He chatted a link, docs.walletconnect.com/2.0, and is wondering if he can just add it to the header. Any assistance in that?
I've never done Wallet Connect myself, but I started looking at that link when we were talking earlier, and I'm back on it now looking. I think that it's probably like a pretty similar thing to other libraries or to how MetaMask works. Like it's not going to be something crazy. I'm just trying to figure out exactly what they do. Like I see an NPM package in their docs, which means you probably will be putting a CDN link in the header, so a page header to install it, and then probably just calling JavaScript to do the different things. I can't actually find a CDN link on the fly, so it might be like a little trickier to figure out. But essentially that's what you do. Or I guess you could do, we have server-side actions where you can use NPM. So if we couldn't find a CDN link, maybe you have to use NPM for Wallet Connect. I don't know, but I also have this on my list. We want to put the same way we have MetaMask actions, we want to do Wallet Connect actions. And I need to look into this more. Just glancing at the docs, that was actually a little more like rigid than I thought. So I would have to dive a little deeper to know for sure. But essentially, yeah, I would guess, I think you mentioned like, do you just add a page header, but you basically are probably gonna have to add a page header and then either use custom JavaScript in the run JavaScript action or make custom actions to actually work with it.
Okay. He just shouted that you can use Wallet Connect on mobile MetaMask now.
Is that like, oh, the mobile MetaMask like browser or something? I don't know. I haven't. It's so funny because for all the crypto stuff I do, I never do it on mobile. I don't even know what wallets on mobile are.
Mobile crypto is a lot more difficult to do. Not ideal.
All right. So basically, Drew, it's just something you'll need to look into further.
Yeah, I can update you when I do it. Like I think if you want to do it now, I could work with you to get it in. Basically, we could go through Discord and we could figure it out, and then that would be me figuring it out at the same time. Or if you're just curious, then like at some point I'm gonna be looking into this. I don't know exactly when, but
Yeah.
I can follow. I mean, if it's like when I look into it, then actions are gonna come out of it. So then you won't even have to know. You can just use our actions.
Okay.
But yeah, if you want to do it earlier than that, just let me know. I'd be happy to dive into it now with you.
Okay. All right. So let's jump over to Karsha's question. They're asking, or I'm sorry, who asked that? Alexander. You were asking how to create a flow to close the page. Do you have anything you could show where we could actually take a look at it? Or is it a general question? You're muted.
I'm muted. Are you here?
Can hear you now.
Yep.
Yes. Yes. Hello for all. I must say I'm total beginner on the programming and no code than somebody else. Can I share my screen?
Yes. There should be a share screen button at the bottom.
I have one page. This is control page, and I have the grid row in this one. And after that, when I put, for example, name here, I want to, in this button,
Oh, did he drop off the
when I
call?
click,
There you go.
it's data is here.
You froze for a second. I kind of missed that last piece. When you click on the button on,
Yes,
I missed.
when I click a button, I create data in data collection, and I want to this page to close.
And go back. Okay.
For example, when I go to in the home page, I create a new, for example, new people. Test. After that, I want to close this my tab.
Do you want to definitely close the tab, or do you want to just go back? Oh, I see it opened in a new tab.
Yes,
Okay.
because I have some scenario. Okay, never mind. I just want to this flow.
You know
Yeah.
what, Alexander, are you specifically wanting to open that page in a separate tab, or do you just want to maybe like open that page in a pop-up on this page?
No, okay, I must to tell my scenario. I want to create some application because I have some blueberry farm, and picker people who is to pick blueberry I want to scan for my phone. After that, when I check, I want to close up application in my phone. I don't know how to explain.
That,
I think that's fine. I mean, if you needed to open a new tab, I think we should be able to close it because we opened it. Like because
Yeah.
your application opened it, I think you can close it. And I think the way you have to do it is with a custom. There we have an action called run JavaScript function that where you can write custom JavaScript. To close the window, it's like 2 words of custom JavaScript, but I think that's what you have to do is after it creates the records, you have a flow where it's saving the record, and then right afterwards you can do an action for run JavaScript function. And if you want to do it now, I can tell you what to type in there and we can see.
Oh, I don't know JavaScript. This is very complicated for me.
It'll be easy. I'll tell you. I'll tell you. It's only like 2 words,
Okay.
literally. It's not
Okay.
actually that much JavaScript.
great.
Okay,
Go back
maybe.
into the studio,
Yes, sorry.
Alexander, and then Drew, if you could walk them through where to go.
So yeah, see that flow there? Yeah, go into there. So you can click that.
Yes.
And then let it do everything the same here, but at the very end, we're going to add a new action. So you can click that plus add action and search for, it's called run JavaScript function. So if you type run, it should show up. There you go. So do that one. And then in the, it's going to give you like a big block of code. Yeah, see that in there? In here, just type the word window.
Word?
Window like WIN. Actually, maybe I can even paste it in this chat. But yeah, window dot and then close, CLOSE, and then just but with no space after, just open a parenthesis and then close a parenthesis. I think that's all you'll need. So, oh, sorry, not before that. So delete that. Yeah, right at the end of the whole line. And actually, I don't know. I just pasted it in the chat.
This one?
Nope,
No,
it's
no.
the one. See above in the function name where it says v2 and it's got the parentheses around it. That's what I'm talking. I don't know.
This one?
Almost
The curved
the
one.
curved kind.
There's squigglies too, so we're not.
Yeah. Perfect.
This
There
one?
you go.
There they are.
Oh.
Yep. And that's it. I mean, I think you can put a semicolon at the end, but you probably don't even have to. But that's really all it takes to close the window. I think that should work for you.
You have to save it.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. If you scroll down a little, you have to hit that save changes. Good call. And then yeah, you can test that.
Wow.
Nice.
Yes,
that.
thank you very much.
Cool.
Okay. All right, Alexander, thanks for letting us help you with that.
Thank you
And
very much.
yeah, absolutely.
And Joe, you are a good snowboard.
Thanks.
It is a super cool snowboard. Got to take it out on the slopes, Drew.
It's not rideable. It's so funny. It's a decorative snowboard.
Oh,
I have another one that's rideable. Don't get me wrong, but
I like ride the snowboard very.
nice.
You
nice.
do, Alexander? Oh man,
Yeah.
you should get to meet Gigi. He's one of our devs in Romania. He is so incredible. He does crazy stuff, man.
He does
I mean-
heliboarding and stuff. He's extreme.
Yeah.
that's a word.
I mean, yeah.
People
If-
from
if-
Romania going to the Serbia to skiing. Many people from Romania
Yes.
Yeah.
going in my country in Serbia to skiing.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yes.
that.
Many
You guys
people from
have some
Romania.
good snow there, huh? And some
Yes,
good mountains for that.
this application from I built in Builder.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Oh, I love it. Great job for a beginner, Alexander. Yeah. Very, very cool.
Look at that.
Well, I hope you get some good time in the next few weeks to go do some snowboarding. If you do anything and have some cool pictures or videos, definitely share in the community so we can check it out.
Okay, yes, okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so let's see. I think you guys got some stuff going on in the chat. What am I missing? Who needs help right now?
Bex has some questions, a lot of which I think are like really just direct answers to. So
Yeah. What do you see, Josh?
well, I'm gonna need help from Dorian and Drew to answer some of them, but I think they're easier to answer than they're not as complex. So if you guys want to attack that, but just like questions about like like editing a password for a user without doing like the normal flow that the auth stuff does and stuff like that.
Okay, so, all right, those are Bex's questions. Okay, let's take a look at those first. So first question, is it possible to change the user password without an email loop? I don't think so in Builder. That's one of the fields that's were locked down.
I thought it wasn't, but maybe I'm wrong about this because it's vague, but maybe Dorian remembers. Someone recently, I think, tried that and said it worked. That they changed the password in their app, and I was confused about it. So there could be a little caveat, but I think it's supposed to be that you can't change a password without going through the email loop, which is basically a security feature.
Yeah, because I tried it with just the update data on the users with the current user ID and the password from password field, and it did it, but then when I tried to log in again, it wouldn't let me log in with it like the current password or the previous password. So it broke something. So yeah, that's obviously not.
I bet
the
it doesn't
method.
work. Like I bet that's basically a bug. And I think what's probably happening even is that we're doing special things with the password. Like we're encrypting it on our end so that we can't see it, type of thing. And when you upload that, unencrypted word, it's probably just saving differently, and it's like not even supposed to save. Maybe it's saving, maybe it's not, but it's not actually doing the full password thing.
I mean, those values aren't even visible to us.
Yeah.
For security reasons. So any creative ways that you guys can think of other than go set up?
It's not a big deal. I just wanted to know if it was possible or not, because I was currently going down that path, but I have got in the meantime, I did get the email loop set up. So
okay, yeah, that's really like the biggest stopper is that it's annoying to set that up. If you have that set up, just use it because it's more secure anyway for your users.
Yeah, very cool. And the other thing, they were pretty quick as well, but I'll just share my screen because it's easy to communicate.
Yeah.
So in this stuff, can you see my screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the SendGrid dynamic data, right? Can I add like the name of the user into this dynamic data that I pass through to the template?
Dorian?
Would that field come through? I don't remember.
Like, is there an address for this?
You can try it. I honestly don't remember. It's been such a long time.
You can pass through name. I'm pretty sure.
Well,
because I imagine that just
in this specific template, you could definitely create a call that allows it to be passed through.
Because I was thinking I could just do this.
That'd be whatever you want
name, and then, but it's what do I put in here, right? To call the name.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the part I'm not sure that will work. You can try it, but the syntax would be the filter set ID dot the field ID. So you have to go into your data collection and go into the users.
Right. Okay.
And then I'll show you how to get the IDs.
Oh, if this works, that would be crazy. I didn't realize you could just switch out to
think
any data collection.
I'm not sure. And then at the bottom right,
this one down here.
copy that. So that's the, go paste that in. That's the first value. And then
Like this bit? Where,
After,
after token, because it has to start with builder data.
oh, okay. So like there.
No, it looks like it didn't copy, but no, you would replace the whole token login ID.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been having problems with my copy and paste lately.
yeah, exactly.
There we go.
It's like it brought the styling.
This is freaking Google.
That was crazy.
Anyway. There we go.
There it is. And then it'd be dot, and then we would need to get the ID of the name or the field.
Oh, right, the name
Yeah.
field.
Click in there and then copy that ID. Yeah. Because I think we made this work just for the user stuff. I think it was
Okay.
for this reason, but I'm not 100% sure. It could have been like, well, we need that, and we
Okay.
either have it or we don't have it. But this would be the syntax if it works. Try it
Cool.
and then just let me know, and then
Yeah, I'll try that after. No worries. What's my other thing?
Last one, I think, or how could I do the reset email loop if the email is not the login ID?
Yeah. So in here, we're grabbing the login ID as like well, up here, right? It's login ID. But is that a similar thing if I have another field? Because I wanted the user to be able to change their email. So I created another field.
oh,
Yeah.
gotcha. So you need to send a different value.
Yeah.
It's the same
It'd be the
syntax.
same thing. Yeah,
if,
so I've got
if
this
that
email.
works. Yeah.
Okay. I'll give
but
it a try.
Yeah, give it a try and then we'll see.
And just so I understand, yeah, this is a good question. Like the reason that this wouldn't work is specifically because it's part of like the auth setup. It's like the way that we're connecting to the auth data. Is that correct?
Yeah, because all this runs through the core identity server, and it actually does like a replace here for all those values. So it's either the core has the code in place to capture that builder data .filter set ID .field ID and go query that data and get the actual values. And that's the part I can't remember if we did implement it all the way through. But
And
yeah,
the
we just need to test through it.
Yeah,
And
no worries.
definitely- Yeah, Bex, can you let us know? Because if not,
Sure. Yeah.
we can log a feature request for giving the ability to do that.
And the other thing was the last one was this user invitation. How does that happen? Like
That
later
you
access.
have to trigger it. Where is that implemented? The SaaS starter has this already built in. So if you
really?
review that one, it does it when you add.
This.
I think it happens whenever you add a user to a company, right?
That's right. You add the employee, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Is the team? Yeah.
The team.
This was the SaaS data, but I've changed it so much.
Oh,
I
gotcha.
probably deleted some of that.
Yeah, no problems. But maybe just create a new project from it and then go review how it adds a team, and that has that set up.
Basically, it's that you're automatically creating the user already in the app. So it's not that they're like signing up, it's that you're already creating it within the app. That's what you consider a user invitation.
Oh, right. Okay. So when you create the team members,
right,
because that user is being created by another user,
it's yes.
Yeah, essentially it creates a second record that we call record association. And that record association has a value where it has the record ID that it's being tied to. So in this case, it's the company record. And then it also has the user ID or it might be the login ID. I don't know which one it is. One of those, and that's how it ties it to that specific record.
So the number.
So it's that second. So that one creates the user first. And then the one after it is the invitation record.
Right.
This is the record association.
And you can call this one basically at any time. So it depends on your flow. It might be right after a user's created, or it might be later when someone invites them. But you
Mhm.
set up all the front end logic yourself and then call this action.
Right.
Is that
Okay.
what you're needing for your specific use case, Bex? Like, do you need it to be
Well-
like limit the data to just like, hey, if you were invited, created this way?
Well, yeah, I mean, for some of it, I wanted to lock it down, but I also wanted to have, like, I don't want some users to be able to, potentially get in there and have access to other users' data, right?
Yep.
But I kind of wanted to have an admin user where I could still, for some of the records, not everything, but for some of the records, be able to do some admin work. So I wanted to be able to add an admin user as a, like, invite that admin user to these other data records as they're being created.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, I would go this route for sure. Because it locks everything server side, so users aren't accessing data that they shouldn't be accessing, and it gives you the ability to add additional users to have access to these records. And the cool thing is, in the last builder update we released, we actually now expose the data collection for record associations. Where for testing purposes, or if you need to modify or change things, you can actually manually create those associations directly from the data collection. When you do that, it pops a little light box where it makes you select the actual record and also the user and etc.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like you're already using it, or for some of it, right?
Well, this is in the
The
this
stats.
was
Yeah.
the stats data. Yeah, there's some stuff, and yeah, like even in my one, because I created it from the template, there's already records in there, and I can't delete these. So
The other thing to remember with this is that when you apply it to like the company in the SaaS starter, it will also apply those same permissions downstream to all the child records.
Oh my gosh, I was like, who's talking?
I was about to say, look who it
Hey,
is.
Mark.
What's up?
So like the key thing there is you're adding the ability for that user to get access to a company. But in the data collection setup, it's also granting them access to anything downstream, their child collections of the company collection. So that way you don't have to go like add them to that one task, they just add to the company, and because tasks are under the company.
Okay. Cool.
Super.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bex. Let us know how pulling those fields in the email goes. And then if not, we can definitely add a feature request for giving y'all the ability to do that. Okay, so John, are you still here? He's got a question about Xano. Is it possible to use a data listener with a third-party backend like Xano?
I don't think so. I mean, you might be able to hack something together somehow. Like you might be able to get creative and figure something out, but you can't just like select a data listener and select a Xano collection. That won't work.
John, let me see if he's still here.
I'm still here. Sorry, I was hopping
Great.
between calls.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us a little more about your use case? Maybe we can find a creative solution.
Sure. So something Dorian helped me set up, which is how do you on click change the status of a given record? So when you make the change, there's a listener that looks at that and then updates the data collection. My thought process was, if I'm using a third-party database, how would I do the same thing? So what was going through my head was an API call, as Josh was talking about. So is it an API, standard API? How would that look? Because the listener is going through a page binding, if you will, from what I understand, to check the status change. Does any of that make sense?
I think that makes sense. I
Yeah.
think the listeners themselves, they don't have to be associated with page binding at all. That's often how they're used, is like you listen for a change and you run page binding. But essentially, like with a listener, you can run any flow. So if you think of it, instead of running page binding, imagine if you had any data that you want to refresh, you had a flow called refresh data. You could call that refresh data and just update that. And so basically what I'm getting at is if you kind of like remove layers, you don't even have to use a data listener. When you actually do an action and change data in your database, you can run flow on page and call all the other flows to refresh manually. And they'll talk to Xano, but it won't be through a builder data listener. Does that make sense? Or maybe I jumped ahead a little too much.
Yeah, you kind of lost me. So let me back up a bit. So if I have everything set up with a data listener right now, would it make more sense to build an API to continue using things I have set up as it is, or does it make sense to build different flows in Builder with an API call to update Xano and vice versa? Does that make sense?
He could theoretically look, if he's already got the data listener set up, shouldn't he just go create a flow that runs the API calls and then just select that as the thing that runs on the data listener as the flow that runs?
Yeah, that makes total sense. So yes, but the question I would have then is what is the data listener listening to? Because I always thought the question was like, can you get the data listener to listen to Xano?
You're right.
Which you won't be able to out of the box.
Okay, so yeah, you can't, I don't think you can use a data listener, but you can, I think what Drew is saying is like, you'll need to set up some flows because the data listener is going to listen to data changes that are in Builder, the data that's in Builder. So I think you just need to scrap that and create flows that run API calls to refresh the data. Right, Dorian?
Yeah. Yeah, and you can do like the end result is you're just trying to update like anything newly created in Xano, you're just trying to live update it in the project that these users have open.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's the opposite way. So anything, so I have a preset set of statuses, 5. And if I click a button, that status change. It changes the text, it changes the background. That's already in Builder through a data listener. What I want to do is take whatever I on click, whatever's changed, and send that over to Xano. That's all I want to do. It's not the other way around. So I don't want Xano updating. You know what I mean? So is that an API?
That is just an API call. And you just tack it to that flow that's already doing the change.
Got it. Okay. So if it was the other way around, I'd have to build individual flows to take the updates from Xano and shoot them back.
Yeah, because you'd have to check. I would do like a condition where I'm doing a get to Xano and check if the data changed. If it did change, then reset the data in the display grids. But that's more complicated. But for what you're trying to do, yes, just a standard API call to your Xano collection to do the update, and that's it.
I think something to help that correct me if I'm wrong, John, this might not help, but something to note that like, even if you're just using Builder's data collections and you're clicking a button and it's updating the data collection, that's also essentially using an API call. It's just Builder has pre-built that API call into the way Builder functions as an entire product. So you're not even needing to think about and visualize it. Like the auto save thing that you'll typically have attached to it to update it is actually just an API call that's happening. But because you're using Xano, you just have to create that own API call to do that update and go and update the data that way.
And we can walk through it too, John. I know you're probably on another call, but if you needed to walk through how to set that up, we could do it in the call.
Are we over on time? Because I want to be respectful of everybody's time.
We're hanging out a little bit longer. We've got you, and then I think let me see. No, Dorian's gonna help Anne offline. Drew's gonna help Jan with the image import offline. Were we gonna jump back to
Maybe we can see the custom elements.
Yes,
Do we
that's
have
what we
time for
wanted to
that?
do. Custom
Yeah.
elements was the last thing. So why don't we
Do you mind
let's
if
do
I
it, John?
do you mind if I take this offline and you guys focus on custom elements? because it would be easier. And Dorian, do you mind if I reach out to you because you and I set this up together?
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I got to hop to another client call. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Merry
okay.
Christmas to you all. Or happy
Yeah.
holidays. Nothing more.
Hi, John.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do custom elements. All right, so we've got peeps in Discord. They're curious about custom elements. So if we don't have one to create, maybe we can just show duplicating of one and then the things that you can change, and just kind of go through that.
Yeah, I'm more interested in building one from scratch. Like I understand how you build an action and an element and how you create the element in the DOM and everything, and how you pull data from input arguments. But what I'm struggling with is the how do I pull data from the data tab inside the element, you know, like a JSON inside the element. Is this possible?
Yeah, it's definitely possible because everything that you use in Builder is built in that same way. So everything that you see is possible. But there's not documentation. Well, there's some documentation, I guess, but there's not like a specific resource that's going to say, here's how you like get data from the data tab. Here's how you set value. Like here's how you interact with the set value action. Here's how you interact with the get value action. But the best way to do those, especially if you're familiar with JavaScript, is go to the elements have the actual element type, and then they have the element render function. You go to the element render functions and go to render HTML element. And there's a lot of stuff there.
There's a lot of stuff there,
Yeah.
and it's pretty complex to find this. But yeah, that's why I asked, can I somehow get maybe the
base
puppy, yeah, the command to get this from the data tab, is this possible? Or
Yeah, I mean it's in that HTML render function. I don't know it off the top of my head, and I think that the render function itself looks really long and complex, but a lot of it is actually just if statements that are like, because it's rendering all these different HTML elements. So there's a lot of if statements that are checking for what element is. When you strip that down, it's actually like relatively straightforward. You'll see somewhere in there that addresses that it's either the set data or somewhere else. I mean, probably maybe other people on the call know more specifically than me.
yeah, I
Mark,
tried something in the custom JavaScript function. I tried something with the save data and get data, and it works as a function. But when I try building this like a custom element, then I can't get access to this. I'm not sure why. And what I'm trying to do is specifically, let's say, I'm trying to build something like an input with the chips, like tags. When you type something and you enter, you get a tag on the side. And I've built this and it works. But now what I'm struggling is with getting like data from the database, like a starter point. For example, when I save this data, what I've entered in the input field, now the next time I load the page, I want this data to first be loaded in and then continue this.
So I think
something like a grid element,
Yeah.
like grid element works, something like that.
I think a select, the select is going to be really similar to what you are describing there. So, and there's really 4 methods inside of those render functions that you want to pay attention to. And I can explain how they interact with the different parts of the studio for whenever a user uses it.
All right, can we show anything, Mark? Like, can we look at the render function?
Yeah, I
Just
can show it.
as you talk through it, just maybe
Yeah, let me
visual representation would be helpful for everyone.
let me start a new screen real quick. Here. I think I have a test project already open over here. I don't, but I'll just make one.
I have an example if you need.
And
Check it
I
out.
have like, we were comparing test projects. I have like 1,400 and something of them now. It's ridiculous. Because I make new projects for everything, basically. All right, let me show my screen. Let's see. Share. All right. So let me add a page here. And then I'm gonna add element. Let's do a select. I think this is going to use the normal render function. Zoom into. All right, so there's 4 methods that you kind of want to think about whenever you're building these things. So there's get value, set value, get data, and set data. So those are the 4. So 2 for value, 2 for data, 1 for a get, and 1 for a set. So if you just kind of think about what those are, there's setting data into an element, there's setting value into an element. In something like a select, the data method inside of the select input is going to use the data to build the list inside of it, where the set value is going to use the set value method to set the selected one, whichever one is selected is the value that's selected in there. It's like conceptually, that's sort of how it functions. And that's how we view those methods. Technically, you can use those methods for anything you want inside of your custom JavaScript element type. And the way that interacts with the studio is in 2 ways. One is in the data tab. I guess there's 3 ways. One is in the data tab. There's the record value, which effectively does a set value into the element. So whatever your set value method is doing inside of the element type function is going to receive the data from whatever's in here, and it's going to run that as an argument into the set value method inside of your element type function. The collection list does a set data typically, right? So like in a select, if I bind the data from a collection, it's going to expect that that's basically going to take that and set the data into the element list for the select. The other way is in events. So like on change, when an autosave happens, the autosave does a get value from the element to pull whatever the value is. So in the case of a select, it's whatever the option is that's selected. In your case with a tag, you would probably have the value be like an array or something.
Yeah.
It'll be however you choose to store it inside of there. But you're basically just saving that array value. What happens is it uses this, whatever you've selected here. So I don't have any actual, let me add a collection. And we can just create a field here. Let's do test field as well. So whatever I've set here is going to get the value from there, and the autosave is going to use the get value method of the element to get the value out, and then use this mapping to determine where to save the value back into in the database. So in your case with tags, it's going to be saving and retrieving an array of values that then go into the element type. And then I would think the data in your element type is a list of all the tags, like all the possible tags, right? So I think it's pretty similar to a select or a multi-select in that case.
So what you're saying is I can read through the select element or it's a HTML render actually function, right?
Yep. Yeah, so if we look in here, this is that render function.
Yeah, the select's inside of here, so you have to find all the select appropriate code.
Yeah, so there's going to be like a case. Yeah, let me get sorry, the zoom is in my way. 1 sec. There we go. And actually I'll zoom in too, so we can see it a little easier. So there's going to be a case in here somewhere. It's like case select. There's different uses of it inside of here. It's like this is in the set value. And in the case where it's select, it's going to run through this, and there will be another one for, there will be another one for set data somewhere in here. So here's the set data. And we'll find them for all these different methods, right? So there's like a resize one, because this does like resize drag you can also do. So there's cases for some of those things. This is finding selection as well. But there should be, might have gone too far. So here's the get, right? So here's the get value out of it. It also goes further. Like if you look at the grid element type, there's also a thing we call it info. So it's get info, and info we use for like any other metadata that's not the value or the data that's like driving the UI. So like in a grid element, there's like the value that's searched right now. There's the search results data. There's all this other stuff that's like different. And we use a generic area called info for that. So you can get like real complex with how you're storing it, and it'll still interact properly with the UI. Because the third way, so there were the events and the data that interact with those types, but there's also a third thing, which is the actions. So if we go into a flow, and I'll just put in here like a set value. So these flows, these actions, when you select this element, whatever this value is going to be passed to this element's render function set value method. So whatever I type into here, or whatever value I select. So this is sort of where the studio is creating the JSON schema that defines how to interact with your element type using these input arguments through actions and through the data and events tabs. So all the actions will use those things.
Is the data tab also an input argument? How
Yes.
it is, right?
Yeah, so here you can think of it that way. It's not technically that, but it is that, like the render function, you have access when your render function runs, you can see how it's all stored in here. There's a binding section in this JSON that gives all the information about where the filter set, if you look in filter set and data table, that if you go to collections and you look over here on the right, you can see the group ID and the filter set ID. That's this table ID and filter set ID. Just to tie it all together, that's how it all stores it, right? It uses those IDs. That's why we expose those over there in case you're getting to this level and you want to see how it operates.
Okay, cool. I mean, I'll try to hack something from the select element, and I will ping you on Discord if I get stuck somewhere.
Yeah, I think let me see, I think there's one other thing too. Let me show one other thing. In here, the other way is if you do, like, let's do a set variable. There's one other way. So this is where I'm going to get the value out of the select. So I'm going to set a variable called select value. And we're going to get it from an element, from the select element. So this is using the get value. So when someone selects value or data here, that's going to basically the studio is expecting your element type function to have the get value method here and the get data method for this one. So they won't work right if you don't set those up inside of your element type function.
I think I understand.
But definitely
Thanks.
ask.
Yeah,
You know?
I will try and see where it gets me. And yeah, I'll ping you on Discord.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Karsh. All right, y'all, I think that brings us to a wrap. Last office hours of the year. I just want to say thank you so much for making this an awesome year for us, for making the tool better, for making the community an amazing place. Like, we are so grateful. We love what we do because we do it for y'all. A lot of good things coming in the new year, so I'm really excited about that. Have a happy holiday, whether you celebrate or not. We honor that. We just want you to have fun, get some rest, do some good building, and we'll see you in the new year. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks,
Have
everybody.
a great day. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.